Well, off the back of the end of last week here at Benfica, we've lost one of our key players to injury, and he's out of the round of 16 in the Champions League where we take on Real Madrid. Also, no chance of an invincible league season, and our strikers, new ones, they can't score goals. Going well. Hello everyone and welcome to episode number 106 of Rookie to Royalty here on Shaun Does FM with Benfica. I hope you're doing well. Come up day, we've got Real Madrid in the round of 16 of the Champions League. So definitely no easing into the knockouts of the Champions League for us this season, especially with some of those injuries you can see there over on the middle / right hand side of the screen. So hopefully you guys are looking forward to that, but it does come off the back of a League Cup final at the end of last week and also some pretty big transfer business that we did do. So if you missed that one, I'll leave a link to it over in the top right corner. And since then, we've not been too good actually. First up, we took on Chavez off the back of that League Cup final. To be fair for this game and to put out a little bit of a mixed team, some first team players and some backups, and a Florentino Luis red card just after halftime really put us in danger here, and they scored a couple of goals off the back of that, including us giving away a penalty. Thankfully, Jeremiah Hudland, who came on in this game as the third striker we brought on off the bench, he grabbed a double which looked like it might save us a point and keep our invincible season alive. But no, right off the back of that second Hudland goal, Godoy put one away for Chavez, taking a deflection off one of our defenders, and we lose our first league game of the season. So unfortunately, just like last season, we do lose off the back of that League Cup final, and this time to a pretty average team in Chavez. These guys, they sit down around mid-table. They're in 13th, so definitely not a result I was expecting, and that's the team who've ended our chances of an invincible league season. So a little bit filthy on that one. Thankfully, since then, I haven't lost any more games. First up, picked up a 2-0 winner over our affiliate club in Alverca. The goals there to Modi Burfa, our third choice central attacking midfielder, before halftime, in Alberto Peretti in the early stages of the second half. So bounce back there in the league. Then thankfully, with a pretty strong team, picked up a 3-1 win over Anadia in the first leg of our Portuguese Cup semi-final. The goals there to Mateus Henrique, Habib Diarra and Robert Renan. They did grab one there through Miguel Major, but that is a pretty nice advantage to take into the second leg, which does not happen until early April. So looking pretty good there to make our way through to the Portuguese Cup final. And already looks like, as expected, it will be against Sporting. So it could be a big game that we come back for, hopefully in amongst our run in the Champions League knockouts, depending how we get on here against Real Madrid. But then we drop some more points, and this might even be more disappointing than that loss to Chavez, because Gil Vicente are absolutely rubbish this season, all the way down in 16th, albeit the media prediction is 7th. So they're supposed to be quite a good team. They did manage to take a point off us, unfortunately, in this game. We did rotate heavily before this first game of the Champions League knockouts, but a Magalhaes goal was able to rescue us a point there off the back of a penalty we did give away early on, somehow only scoring one goal. With that absolute statistical dominance, our strikers are not in good form, so it does mean no more invincible league season for us here at Benfica. But thankfully, the teams behind us have been just as bad. So still, with a 15-point gap on top of Liga Portugal these days, it's over Porto, a point further back to Braga. So still, with only 9 games left in the season, we should at least be holding on to that. Just a bit filthy that Chavez did ruin our invincible season. Also, Florentino Luis, who got the red card in that game, he's actually been starting for us here in the Champions League, seeing as Castillejo is out with an injury, but he got a year contract extension just for appearing in that game, his 15th one of the league season. So that was an interesting way to earn a contract extension from Florentino Luis. To be fair, don't mind it too much, because he is homegrown clubs. That actually is quite handy for us, but still not good from him there, ruining our invincible league season. But as I mentioned, we do have some injuries here at Benfica going into the Champions League knockouts now. First up, Juan Castillejo, some pulled knee ligaments. He's out for a further 5 to 10 days, so he could be back as a bench option for that second leg, but probably that's not going to be likely. So that's a big miss for us there. That's the reason that the red-carded Luis will make his way into here, our Champions League team, for this big clash against Real Madrid. Also, we're missing Francisco Trincão with a twisted ankle. That one a little bit more long-term, in 5 days to 3 weeks. That's the reason that Modi Burfa appeared in some of those recent games. We did play a player who has been sitting down in our B team and our under-23s. Also worth noting too with Trincão, is retiring at the end of this season. So that was definitely another reason that the Florentino Luis contract extension was quite handy. Just as I said, a little bit filthy with how he celebrated that with a red card, ruining our invincible season. Also, Bellarmino Pedroto's out for 10 to 13 days with a gash lower leg, but to be fair, he's our third choice right winger. Let's hope that one isn't quite as noticeable here in the knockouts of the Champions League. So a couple of injuries that we do have, and also if we go over here to the squad and sort this out by our strikers down the bottom, I might actually sort this out here so they appear up top so my face cam's not blocking it, and see here the selection info. Since they've come to the club, they've been pretty darn average, in particular Maxi Medina and Min Hong Sun. Min Hong Sun has still not scored a goal. Medina has got 2, thankfully, but it's fair to say neither of them have hit the ground running here at Benfica. So that makes this first up test in the round of 16 in the Champions League a little bit more intimidating. We've got Real Madrid, the notorious 16-time champions. I'm pretty sure that's also the case here in game. Indeed it is, with Enzo Maresca in charge. To be fair, I'm pretty sure we might have beaten these guys last season here at Benfica, but it was just in a league phase game. This time, you have to do it over 2 legs, and they've still got a pretty stacked squad, as you can see. Likes of Jude Bellingham and Kylian Mbappe are still there at the club. So considering our recent form, the fact our new strikers aren't going too well, and the injuries we've copped, this might be a little bit of a struggle. And also, they're clearly the best team in the Liga, 16 points clear of Atletico Madrid and 1 point further back to Barcelona. Even though they've played one more game, that's a pretty big old margin. So Real Madrid could be quite tough here. They're actually on for an invincible season like we were before that Florentino Luis red card, but hopefully here can find a way to get some parity in this away league. Of course, this time last season we took on Monaco and had an absolute shocker in the first leg. We lost 3-0, so I'm hopeful it won't be that bad this time around. But considering how we've been looking off the back of the striker shake-up at the end of last week, it's fair to say my confidence is not at much of a high, considering that we are the defending champions in this competition. So I'm hopeful that we can do something decent here in this first league. As I mentioned before, Luis comes in there in central midfield with Castillejo out, but apart from that, it's our first choice 11, including Min Hong Sun over Medina. As I said before, neither of them have been that great since they've come to the club. Medina arguably a little bit better with 2 goals in 5 games, but to be fair, he's been taking on the weaker teams compared to Min Hong Sun. But he's had a really rough start here as the South Korean. Let's hope he can step up, coming from Tottenham, who were the champions in this competition before we were. So I thought that deal might not be too bad, even though we did overpay for someone of his quality, considering how much that we got for Piskanova to go to Chelsea. But so far, he's looked a little bit rough. So let's hope here that Min Hong Sun can finally break his duck here at Benfica, and we can do something against this Real Madrid team. If we go down 3-0 like we did against Monaco last season, not too sure in our current form we've got the quality or the confidence to turn that round back in Benfica. So definitely don't want to be losing this one by too many goals away from home. Try and keep this quite level, and hopefully that home advantage might prove quite important. We were quite good at home during the league phase of the Champions League this season, but of course we had Piskanova and we had De Rosa. This time we've got Min Hong Sun and Maxi Medina, who aren't going nearly as well as our regular strikers were, but an early chance there for us from a set piece, and actually they've pushed over there Nyanzu on a yellow card. I was briefly worried there that might be going the other way, and it might be an early red card considering how I've been going in this play session. But thankfully a chance here, Jeremiah Hudland is on penalties, and thankfully for the first time since we've sold Piskanova, we've got a penalty and we've put it away. Sends there Mamadashvili the wrong way, of course. End of last week, League Cup final. I'm pretty sure it was Nadi who had a penalty save. Since then, we've put Hudland on them. He had one saved in a game I played off camera, and thankfully this time puts it away. So finally scoring from the spot that could be quite big here in an away legs. Hopefully that's going to kick us here into gear with some of those results I've copped off the back of the end of last week. But Real Madrid there, we're on the attack. Thankfully, just able to get a body in the way, but Nyanzu there earned us a penalty despite the fact that he is sitting on a yellow card. Thankfully, we put it away, so probably going to take him off here at halftime for someone like Rui Silva. To be fair, Miguel has actually been in better form since coming back from his injury, but is still a little bit injury prone. So I think Rui Silva, the better option of our centre backs on the bench. But that first half was actually quite quick, one highlight for each team, and thankfully got a penalty from ours and we put it away. So we hold here a 1-0 lead. Now Nianzou on that yellow card did earn us the penalty, but as I said, probably a good idea here to take him off, make sure we keep all 11 players on the field as long as that's okay with Florentino Luis. I am still absolutely filthy that he ruined our invincible league season, because I thought there we'd be on for it. I wouldn't have minded if our rotation lost the game during these Champions League knockouts, but that defeat came kind of out of nowhere, even though it was off the back of a League Cup final. But now here, Real Madrid, they are on the attack, and that shot, thankfully, has taken a deflection from a fresh off the bench Rui Silva's. A big work there from our homegrown centre-back. He gets the job done there, but then we get beaten there. Robert Renan can't win that aerial duel against Tchouaméni, and they make it 1-1. Mbappe here picks out Tchouaméni at the near post, and to be fair, that is a pretty good header across the face of goal. Nothing that Miguel can do about that one. And Real Madrid, they do grab an equaliser, which to be fair, stats-wise, they definitely deserve so far. Kind of FMing them here in this first leg of this round of 16 tie. Hopefully can just make sure this is how it stays, or even pinch your lead again, because I don't want to be trying to chase this game in that second leg with our recent form. Thankfully can break that up and try and get something going here down that right hand side. Thankfully Enrique just able to keep hold of that ball. Now Florentino Luis out to Enrique. Hudland does get ball down. Enrique here does get in behind a big chance, but Mamardashvili this time comes up with a good save. Still locked up here at 1-1. That's definitely our best chance so far from open play. Another set piece. Unfortunately, can't find Silva there at the far post. To be fair, this season isn't playing as much as last year, but not scoring nearly as many goals as he did last season. So a little bit concerned about that when he does come on for Nianzou. We're going to take off here both our wingers. Kalafitoglu going very fairly on a 6-point free, so Rodriguez can come on for Matsoso, for Enrique, who's on a red card, and also Hong Sun isn't going that well. We'll try an actual goal scorer in Maxi Medina, albeit I'm using that term very, very loosely. Let's hope here that we can get one and make this 2-1. But a chance again there from set piece for Real Madrid, but thankfully Daniel heads that one over the bar, and it's still 1-1. But fair to say we're probably quite lucky to be level in this game. They've certainly been the better team stats-wise. Now Jeremiah Haaland is going very well out there, our goal scorer, but drops down to red hearts with our final sub here. Modi Burfa, here's what he looks like in terms of his attributes. Quite handy looking for a player who has come through one of our youth intakes. So I think it was before I got here to the club, so not too sure, but a handy third choice he can come on here for the final 20 or so minutes of this game. Thankfully, we're just doing enough somehow to hold on to a 1-1 scoreline, but it feels like Real Madrid here have the momentum, and they'll probably be pushing for a winner just like in real life here late on in this game, now thrown inside of the final third. But thankfully, they win that ball in the air, so a little bit loose here early, not winning as many duels as we usually would, but that one straight at Miguel. Now, he's not going to take the short option like we tell him to, and we don't win that ball in the air, so Real Madrid here with a chance to build their way out from that. Kiwior will play that forward to Rodriguez. Camavinga will spread this out left here to Vinicius Jr. Thankfully, Florentino with some good work, and now a chance for us here on the counter-attack. Matsoso makes his way just inside the byline, pulls that back for Burfa, and Florentino Luis will put it away. That will make up for the red card that ruined our invincible league season. We might be taking a lead back to the Estadio de Luz in Benfica, so that is a big goal from him. We'll go a bit more defensive role-wise off the back of that and start time wasting, because 2-1 at the Bernabeu is a very good result going into that second leg back in Portugal. So a big counter-attacking goal for us there. It looked like Real Madrid were pushing for that second, but thankfully a bit of an average shot from them from that throw-in. It was straight Miguel. We pumped it deep, and thankfully Luis actually broke up that play and then finishes it off the back of the counter-attack. So wonderful work there from Luis, as I said. That should make up for ruining our invincible league season, and also quite useful as he's now got that contract extension, albeit just into injury time. A free kick here for Real Madrid. Some loose work there from Miguel, but thankfully we're able to clear that one somehow, and also Kiwior did stray into an offside position, and thankfully we hold on and pick up a 2-1 win. Don't ask me how. We were very average in that game. Thankfully, Madrid did give away a penalty in the first half. We saw the Nianzou got pushed in the back, and Hudland thankfully put it away just after halftime. They made it 1-1, but a late counter-attacking goal there through Florentino Luis. Some great work from him, seeing as he won that ball back for us does mean that we pick up a 2-1 win, a 1-goal lead heading back to Benfica, where we have been so hard to beat in European competitions. Let's hope that that continues and we can make our way through to the quarterfinals, because that was a pretty good start to the round of 16 this season, a lot better than what we did against Monaco this time last year. We pick up a 2-1 win at the Bernabeu. So a big first league win for us there away from home. Didn't do that too often here last season, so thankfully we've got an advantage going to the second league at the Bernabeu. And since then, back on track somewhat in Liga Portugal. Florentino Luis again here amongst the goals this time with an early penalty. We pick up a 1-0 win over Farense. To be fair though, we were pretty lucky to hold on and pick up the 1-0 win. Let's just click here on the actual result. You'll see 87th minute we gave away a penalty and Andre Lunin came up with a big save. So a little bit fortunate there again. We're still not scoring goals. So very concerned at how both our new strikers are getting on here at Benfica. They didn't score either in that previous Champions League game that we did play, but thankfully just get helped out there enough to pick up 3 points in Liga Portugal, and it does mean that our gap has extended ever so slightly out to 16 points. So looking pretty good here to wrap up Liga Portugal relatively soon, maybe even before we make a quarter-final, if we hold on to our 1-goal advantage here as we take on Real Madrid. Also a quick update too on all the other ties here in the round of 16. Should have shown you guys this before we got into that first league, but there you can see Ajax Arsenal locked up at 0-0 by Leverkusen, have knocked out Manchester United, which is a little bit of an upset considering that they won the Europa League last season. Barcelona just do enough there to get past AS Roma in a penalty shootout. City and Leipzig, they're tied up. Chelsea 2-0 up over Juventus. PSG knock out Bayern Munich off the back of a big first league win in Atletico Madrid. They've knocked out Inter Milan, so a couple of teams that we already know we could take on in the quarterfinals. Hopefully we'll make it that far and hold on here to our 1-goal advantage over Real Madrid, especially because Juan Castillejo is just back from his injury. Now, I'm not going to start him considering that Luis actually has been pretty good since we've come back for today's episode, and also Castillejo only recommended for 75 minutes, which to be fair isn't that bad. But if we go over and check out the tactics screen, you'll see once we hover over his name and that little heart there, the injury susceptibility is still quite bad. So we'll ease him back in here into some first team minutes, and Florentino Luis has been quite good, of course, scoring that crucial goal in that first league and also from the penalty spot to make sure we picked up a win there in the league. So I think it's fair to say he's done a pretty good job of making up for stuffing up our Invincible League season there before we came back for today's episode. It's a little bit dirty on that one because it is a pretty hard thing to do, especially at a club like Benfica. But yeah, he's done pretty well since then, so I think we can forgive him, and quite handy to keep him around for another year, being homegrown nation as well as homegrown club. But it does mean the exact same starting 11 as we put out for that first league away from home, which obviously you'd expect. A little bit tempted again to bring in Medina for Min Hong Sun. Let's hope he can finally find some goal scoring touch, because that definitely is the only concern at the moment with this Benfica team, off the back of us picking our form back up a little bit off the back of that poor stretch I had off camera. Here's Real Madrid. They are going with a 4-3-3, and it's a pretty similar team to what we did see in that first league as well. So hopefully the home advantage here can get us over the line relatively comfortably. As I've said a few times, we've been pretty hard to beat at home in European competitions as well as domestically, albeit that defeat we suffered did come in our home game as well. So that's what made it a little bit more surprising that we dropped points there to Chavez. Obviously the red card, it did not help, but let's hope here we can hold on to our 2-1 lead and even maybe extend it for an early highlight. And as a throw in here, but it's to Real Madrid. Calafitoglu heads that one away, but unfortunately it goes straight out there to our Real Madrid player, and Rodrigo will square that one for Vinicius Jr. Now hopefully he was offside, because otherwise that's some pretty lazy defensive work from us in the first highlight of this game. And indeed that is the case. So that has undone that late goal we scored there away from home in the first league. Daniel plays that ball over the top there for Rodrigo Diarra. Not tracking well there, not too sure what our actual defenders are doing. And then Vinicius Jr. can put that one away. Don't even need to check the lines, because apparently he was that far on. So we go 1-0 down early. Thankfully it's 2-all on aggregate, but that's not ideal. All of a sudden looking a little bit more shaky in our home games here with this Benfica team, but now Nadi might get us here back on the attack. Plays it back to Diarra, who was not too good defensively in that first goal. We did concede a little bit there of an iffy pass, and we play one through there to Min Hong Sun. But yet again, I think he can only score goals when he strays offside because the referee there put his flag up. The assistant one indeed. He just can't score unless he's offside. The South Korean, unfortunately, I think the Premier League offside rules might be a little bit easier for him to work with than the ones here in Portugal and in Europe, because he still has knocked off the duck for us here with Benfica. So still locked up at 2-2, but to be fair, some nice play from us there. Just can't quite stay on side and grab the lead back in this time. Now Manuel Nadi picks up a yellow card, so Fabio Ronaldo might need to come on for him in the second half of this game. And Min Hong Sun has also dropped down to a 6.4, so he continues to struggle, and Real Madrid here are on the attack, but thankfully that shot's from a long way out and sails quite safely over the crossbars. Still, it's locked up here at 2-2, but Real Madrid are looking a little bit more threatening in the first half of this game, albeit just before halftime. We've got a throw in here inside the final third. Nadi will float this far post, but unfortunately that's pretty safely into the arms there of Mamardashvili. So let's see here what Real Madrid will do as they try and clear the lines. They roll it out there to Kiwior, and it goes for there to Shaun, who scored the goal in that first leg. Thankfully, able to break up that attack there through Robert Renan. Now Florentino and some good ball plays that beat there to Renan, and now up to Habib Diarra and Kalifatoglu will find Nadi there in some good space down our left-hand side. What can he do here? Squares it for Jeremiah Hadland, who puts it away. He's probably our most important player at the moment with the form that he's in. He's in some great form alongside Florentino Luis, and makes it 1-1, which of course gives us a lead back in this tie 3-2. So a very important goal there just before halftime. Hadland can just squeeze that one in between Mamardashvili and the defender, not too sure who it was there for Real Madrid, but thankfully we've got our 1-goal lead back just before halftime. Now we might make a couple of subs here at halftime. Emmanuel Nadi on that yellow card did set up that goal, but we'll take him off here for Fabio Ronaldo, and also Mateus Enrique on a 6.4. We'll take him off while we can for Tabamatso. So apart from that, I don't think we'll do too much else. Kalifatoglu is on quite a deep yellow. Heart's probably going to come off early in the second half anyway. And also I think Hadland came into this game on a heavy workload. So might be a couple of subs that we do need to make, even though Hadland did score that goal. Also, Min Hong Sun still not going that well on a 6.5. So that's definitely concerning. We're going to try and tell him to relax, but that definitely has not worked, at least in terms of his attitude. So I'm not too sure what to do with him. Maybe Medina needs to become first choice, but straight away here from the restart, Ronaldo makes his way forward down that left-hand side, picks out Matsoso at the far post. But the subs we made there have linked up, and we take a 2-1 lead to goals there either side of halftime in a pretty quick space, and we grab a cushion goal on aggregate. So that is a huge one early in the second half. Thankfully, Matsoso somehow out jumps there, that wing back. They're just off on the air here in FM24. Let's hope that that gets improved in FM26 if players are actually supposed to be good in the air, and that's also presuming that we do get an FM26, but a big goal that should hopefully get us 1 foot in the door of the Champions League quarterfinals. I was pretty worried about this tie, as you saw our form before we came into today's episode. It was not too hot, so thankfully some other players outside of our strikers, they can still score goals, and we've got a 2-goal lead here over Real Madrid, who try and make their way here out from the back so far, doing a pretty good job here of putting them under pressure. Nice work there from Min Hong Sun, who pokes that one past Mamardashvili, and finally our new South Korean striker has got off the mark. So a bit of an error there from Real Madrid trying to make their way out from back, and surely that's going to steal our spot now in the quarterfinals. Daniel tries to play a pass forward there, gives it straight to Min Hong Sun, who pokes that one past Mamardashvili into that right-hand corner, and he's finally off the mark. So thankfully we left him on because he's now scored a goal. And while we're here, we might play things safe for this game. It's actually Costa who's on the bench, seeing as unfortunately Bertha a heavy workload coming into this one. So Costa will come on for Hadland, who was also on a heavy workload and a little bit injury prone. So Costa will give some game time to here in that shadow striker role, especially with now a 3-goal lead on aggregate. So hopefully can just see this one out now, make sure Real Madrid don't find a way back into this game. But to be fair, they need 3 goals in less than half an hour to even take this one to extra time. Now Kalifatoglu, as we thought might be the case, drops down to a red heart, so Rodriguez can come on for him. And while we're here, might make our final sub too. Let's give a little bit of game time to Castillejo coming back from that injury. So that is all our subs used with still 25 minutes left here in the second leg of this Champions League round of 16 tie. Let's just hope that Castillejo does see out this time where he is on the field. Real Madrid here with a thrown inside of the final third, looking very dangerous from set pieces for some reason, but thankfully, yet again, they head that one straight to Miguel this time. Going to try and make our way here out from back. Nyanzu out there to forward Teos. Matsoso plays that for Da Costa, links up there with Castillejo, those players we did bring on in that previous stoppage. Diarra now pings this one out there to Ronaldo, who got that big assist for that first goal. In the second half, Matsoso goes looking for a double, but puts that one just over the bar. Still, it's a 3-goal lead here on aggregates. Make our way into the final 15 minutes here of this time. Thankfully, too, looking a little bit more threatening from these highlights than Real Madrid are into play. Things safe for 18 minutes left now. We'll start to time waste just a little bit. Hopefully, this is all we need to do with a 3-goal lead. If they score one, we'll go a bit more serious with that time wasting. We're very happy with how we've played here in the second leg, especially off the back of that early goal we conceded pretty softly to Vinicius Jr. Since then, we've kicked in the gear just before half time, and off the back of it too, some big goals there through Hudland and through Matsoso, and then we finally got the Min Hong Sun off the mark, off the back of a poor error there at the back from Real Madrid, and it does mean we pick up a 3-1 win in that second leg off the back of our 2-1 win at the Bernabeu. So thankfully, despite my concerns coming in to today's episode, we are going to make our way through the quarterfinals of the Champions League as we look to hold on to it for 2 straight seasons here at Benfica. A pretty good performance there over both legs, and thankfully, Min Hong Sun has finally scored a goal. Let's hope now that he might be able to keep that going for the remainder of the season. No doubt next season he'll be perfectly fine and score lots of goals, especially once he plays some league games. That should help him out here with this Benfica team. But overall, a pretty comfy looking win there over Real Madrid. Got a little bit close there early stages of that second leg, and also it was pretty tight in that first leg, but eventually we kick away there in the second half of that second leg and go through the quarterfinals off the back of a 5-2 win. So thankfully we make our way through safely here in the quarterfinals with this Benfica team as we look to remain European champions in the Sabre 5-2 win there over Real Madrid. Finally, Min Hong Sun getting off the mark too, so hopefully that's a sign now that he might begin to bag the goals a bit more regularly here with this Benfica team. But a 10-day gap off the back of that Real Madrid game did mean I've actually been able to make my way forward to the draw this season for the quarterfinals. Here's the other results from the round of 16. Arsenal got past Ajax. Man City just getting the job done there over RB Leipzig. Chelsea, they held on there over Juventus. Those are results from those ties that were happening the same match day as ours was taking place on. And actually, it works out quite well there in terms of order, because that's pretty much how it's played out. We take on Arsenal in the quarterfinals by Leverkusen. They take on Barcelona. Man City versus Chelsea in an all-English clash, and PSG will take on Atletico Madrid. And going forward, if we can get past Arsenal, we'll then take on Bayer Leverkusen or Barcelona in the semi, which to be fair, might be a little bit easier based on league position than that quarterfinal could be, because Arsenal are up there in the Premier League. They're actually top. They've jumped above Chelsea since we took them on back in the league phase, and they're clear by quite a distance too. 9 points on top of the Premier League. So Arsenal might actually be about to win a trophy, so I'm not too sure if that's a bug. Hopefully we can make sure they won't do it in the Champions League when we come back for tomorrow's episode. But that will do it for today's one. Thankfully bounce back there from a couple of rough performances domestically and get the job done over Real Madrid in the Champions League round of 16. If you enjoyed that one, then do remember to go down below, leave a thumbs up on the video, and if you haven't done so already and are enjoying the series here on the channel, also make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn that notification bell on as well until tomorrow for the Champions League quarterfinal, where we hopefully get rid of Arsenal and keep them relatively trophyless. Thank you very much for watching. Keep on keeping on, and I'll see you then. Cheers.